He hadn't spoken to her in 5 years. Not a message, not a call, not even an accidental like. They became strangers, the kind that don't hate each other, but carry too much silence between them to ever speak again. But every night, around 11:37 p.m., almost on instinct, he opened Instagram and typed her name. He didn't follow her. He couldn't. That would be too real. But he watched, quietly, secretly, like someone trying to touch a memory without breaking it. She posted pictures of sunsets, coffee mugs on rainy afternoons, birthday dinners, long drives with friends, and sometimes a smile that looked too bright to be real. He always wondered, does she ever think about me? But he never asked, because he already knew the answer. Some loves end with a fight, some end with goodbye, but theirs ended with distance, and time filled the space between them like a wall taller than the both of them. Still, every time he saw her smile in a photo, his heart whispered the same quiet truth. I still care. Not the kind of caring that hopes she'll come back. Not the kind that dreams of what could have been. Just the simple human kind. The kind that remembers someone softly, even when they're gone. One night, as wind rattled his windows, he stared at her profile again, thumb hovering over her picture. He didn't know why he still did this. Maybe because she was the only person who ever made him feel something he still couldn't name. Maybe because he never got closure. Maybe because he healed everywhere, except where her memory lived. Or maybe because some people leave your life, but not your heart. When he finally locked his phone, a strange calm settled over him. He whispered into the empty room, I hope you're happy, wherever you are. And for the first time in 5 years, he felt something shift inside him, not letting go, not holding on, just accepting. Because moving on doesn't always mean forgetting. Sometimes it simply means learning to live with a memory that still checks Instagram at 11:37 p.m. Chapter 2. The Habit He Couldn't Break. Nights were the hardest. Every evening, when the world slowed down and the noise of the day faded, his heart returned to the same place. Her. It wasn't love anymore. At least that's what he told himself. It was just a habit now, a quiet, painful routine that had become part of his life for 5 years. He would scroll through random posts, news messages, trying to distract himself, but eventually his fingers always ended up doing the same thing. Search, open, look. Her profile. Every time the page loaded, his chest tightened, not with anger, not with longing, but with a strange mix of nostalgia and the ache of something unfinished. She looked different now, happier maybe, or just better at hiding sadness than he ever was. Her photos showed sunsets, coffee shops, holidays, friends, a life that didn't include him. And still, every night he looked, not because he wanted her back, but because a part of him was still stuck in the version of her he once loved. Sometimes he laughed softly at himself. 5 years, and I still check. He whispered into the quiet room, but habit is powerful. Memories are stubborn, and healing doesn't follow the calendar. On that night, As rain hit the windows gently, he realized something. Maybe he wasn't checking on her. Maybe he was checking on the version of himself that once believed in forever. And that version still lived somewhere inside him. Weak, quiet, but alive. Chapter 3. The night he almost sent a message. 5 years is a long time to stay silent, but silence can become its own kind of comfort. A shield, a habit, a prison. That night something felt different. Maybe it was the way the rain wasn't falling softly like usual, but harder, louder, as if the sky was forcing him to listen to something he had ignored for too long. He opened her profile again. Same smile, same eyes, different life. His thumb hovered over the message button. One small tap could break 5 years of distance. One small tap could bring back memories he wasn't sure he could survive again. He typed something simple. "Hey, how have you been?" He stared at it. His heartbeat felt too loud. His hands shook slightly. It wasn't love pulling him toward the message. It was something else. The need for closure, or maybe the hope that she still remembered him, even a little. He didn't want her back, but he wanted the pain to have meant something. He wanted at least one honest conversation, one truth after years of silence. He took a breath. The rain softened, as if waiting with him. His thumb moved toward send, but then he stopped. Not because he was scared, but because he suddenly understood. If she wanted to talk, she would have talked. If she cared, she wouldn't have left his heart unanswered for so long. He deleted the message, closed the app, closed the memory. Then, for the first time in 5 years, he didn't check her profile again. He just leaned back, listened to the rain, and let himself hurt a little less. Healing doesn't happen in a moment, but sometimes deciding not to go backwards is the first step forward. Chapter 4. The day he finally told the truth to himself. The morning after he deleted the message, something felt lighter. Not healed, just quieter. He went for a walk along the river trail near his apartment, the one he hadn't visited since she left. Cold wind brushed against his face, and the sky was a soft winter gray. The kind of color that makes everything feel honest. For the first time in 5 years, he let himself ask the question he always avoided. Why am I still holding on? He stopped by the railing, watching tiny waves break against the rocks. The answer came slowly, but it came. He wasn't waiting for her. He was waiting for a version of himself that existed when she loved him. He missed who he was when she said his name like it meant something. He missed the boy who believed people didn't leave, but she did. And he didn't know how to forgive himself for choosing someone who never chose him back. A small ache pressed in his chest. But for once he didn't run from it. He let it sit there, let it be real. Then something strange happened. He looked at the water and didn't think about her face, didn't think about her laughter, or her posts, or her new life. He thought about himself, his dreams, his loneliness, his future. It hit him gently, like a truth whispered by the wind. He deserved a life that wasn't spent watching someone else live theirs. The river kept flowing, the clouds kept moving, and somewhere inside him, a quiet door finally closed. Not with anger, not with hate, just acceptance. And that was the first time in 5 years he felt genuinely free. Chapter 5. The Night. He finally stopped checking her profile. That night felt different, not because anything happened, but because for the first time in 5 years, he didn't feel the usual pull toward Instagram. He sat on his bed, phone in hand, thumb hovering over the search bar where her name had lived like a permanent shadow. His heart beat slow, steady, not anxious, just thoughtful. He whispered to himself, "What am I looking for? Really?" He had seen everything already. Her vacations, her captions, her friends, her fake smiles, her happy moments, moments she shared with the world, but never with him. He had memorized every detail, as if knowing her life could somehow make his hurt disappear. But tonight that old habit felt tired, worn out, like a page he had read too many times until the ink had faded. He placed the phone beside him and lay back on the bed. For the first time, the silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace, small, fragile, but real. He closed his eyes and pictured the version of himself he wanted to become. A man who sleeps without searching. A man who wakes up without remembering her first. A man who gives love to someone who actually stands by him. He breathed deeply, and with that breath, something inside him loosened. Not everything, just enough. He reached over, turned his phone face down, and whispered, "I'm done living in your shadow." Outside, rain started to fall softly, the gentle kind that sounds like healing. And in that quiet room, he realized something. He hadn't stopped loving her, but he had finally started loving himself just a little more. Chapter 6. The Message He Never Sent. The next morning felt lighter, not perfect, not healed, but lighter, like someone had quietly opened a window inside him after years of suffocating in memories. He woke up early, sun barely rising, soft winter light filling the room. For the first time in a long time, he didn't reach for his phone immediately. He sat beside the window, watching raindrops slide down the glass, each one carrying away a little more of his hurt. But then, out of habit, his phone buzzed. A notification, not from her, just an email. But seeing his screen light up triggered something. He opened Instagram, not to check her profile, just to delete the search history. His thumb stopped on her name. 5 years. 5 years of searching a girl who never searched for him. He stared at her name for a long moment, and then something unexpected happened. He opened the message box and typed a message, not to send, just to release the words he had carried for too long. "I hope you're happy. I really do. You don't owe me anything. And I'm finally learning that I don't owe myself this pain anymore." He read those lines again. They didn't hurt. They didn't shake his hands. They just felt honest. He didn't send the message. He didn't need to. Instead, he deleted it and put his phone away. Because healing doesn't happen when the other person replies. Healing happens when you no longer need them to. He made himself a warm cup of tea, opened the window slightly, and let the cold air touch his face. For the first time ever, he felt like his story was finally moving forward, and he wasn't dragging her shadow with him. That was the morning he chose himself. Chapter 7. The day he finally let her go. 2 weeks passed. 2 weeks without checking her profile. 2 weeks without wondering what she posted, who she followed, or whether she remembered him. He didn't delete her. He didn't need to. Silence became the distance that healed him better than blocking ever could. One quiet evening, the rain returned, soft, slow, peaceful, the kind that makes the world look blurry, like a watercolor painting. He stepped outside with his jacket, walked to the small park near his building, and sat on the bench under a glowing street lamp. For the first time in years, the memories came back, without tightening his chest. He remembered the laughter, the plans, the heartbreak. But this time, it felt like a story he once lived, not a wound he was still bleeding from. He whispered into the cold air, "Thank you for what you were, and thank you for helping me become who I am now." A gentle peace spread through him, not happiness, not sadness, but acceptance. As he looked up, the cloud slowly opened, showing a small patch of clear night sky. He smiled, not because he got her back, not because she apologized, not because the pain disappeared overnight, but because for the first time, he realized something powerful. Some people come into your life to teach you how strong you can be when they leave. He stood up, took a deep breath, and walked forward, not to escape the past, but because he finally understood he had a future waiting, a future that didn't include her name in his search bar. And just like that, he let her go, not with anger, not with regret, but with peace.